Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today you are in for another treat. So, let's get started. After rebirth, my soul power is not even as good as that of an ordinary rank 1 alchemist. Just now, I used the soul-stealing secret method to instantly shock Jiarong. This resulted in me losing a significant portion of my remaining soul power. Yun Xiao thinks sitting cross-legged, his eyes slightly closed. A golden text emerged in his mind, its symbols resembling tadpoles, flashing briefly before vanishing into the sea of consciousness. Despite his efforts, he couldn't make the text condense on his spiritual platform. Although the awakening of his soul meant he was destined to become powerful, Li Yunxiao's goal extended far beyond this. He aimed to surpass his previous life and break into the legendary realm. His greatest reliance wasn't just the memories of his past life or the tyrant body refining art, but also the soul refining technique he had discovered in the Tiandang Mountains before his death, the great evolution divine art. This method of refining the soul was unheard of, and its recorded techniques exceeded his imagination. He believed that his ability to regenerate his soul was tied to this mysterious art. When his memories resurfaced, the words of this technique echoed in his mind. In the Tianwu continent, cultivation was divided into two main paths: martial arts cultivation and alchemy cultivation. Martial artists specialized in qi cultivation, with a small number focusing on body refinement, while alchemists specialized in the cultivation of the soul. These three paths corresponded to the body, qi, and soul of a person. While mastery of any one path could dominate the continent, the most powerful figures combined at least two. In his previous life, Yun Xiao had reached the Nine Heavens realm, also known as the Martial Sovereign level, in two of the three paths, but had remained stuck at its peak. It was then that he realized his physical strength was holding him back. To address this, he had obtained the tyrant body refining art. Only by achieving peak levels in body, qi, and soul could one attempt to reach the legendary 10 Directions realm. Using the great evolution divine art, I'll elevate my soul power to the 9th level. With the tyrant body refining art, I'll combine all three paths to ascend to the 10 Directions divine realm and become invincible. A golden gleam flickered in his eyes, penetrating through layers of space as if he could see the edge of the infinite void. With a 5-colored divine space stone in hand, he planned to refine 13 divine needles, enough to stimulate his body's potential and elevate his chakras. He immediately began practicing the great evolution divine art. His damaged soul power recovered rapidly, reaching the peak level of a magic apprentice. Although he fell short of the first-rank alchemist, it was sufficient to craft divine needles and prepare the potions needed. Li Yunxiao entered the practice room, a chamber made of durable diamond rock. He took out the purple gold sand provided by Jiarong and ground it into dust, drawing a pentagram formation on the ground. The 5-colored divine space stone shattered under the power of his black sword, and his soul power wrapped the fragments within the formation. With meticulous control, he guided the particles, using his experience from his past life to refine the material. Despite his current level being that of a high-level apprentice, his expertise allowed him to achieve results comparable to a rank 1 alchemist. As the 5-colored divine space stone condensed, bursts of light emanated, purifying itself as it transformed. 13 needles, gleaming with divine light, materialized and fell into his hands. Next, he began preparing the potion for cleansing the meridians and washing the marrow. Using monster blood and various materials, he orchestrated a complex series of chemical reactions, his soul power monitoring every step. After several bursts and violent reactions, he finally produced a dark green liquid. Highly toxic yet perfectly balanced. Yun Xiao immersed the needles in the potion and, controlling them with his soul power, inserted them into his body to unclog his meridian points. A dense mist enveloped the room as his body absorbed the immense medicinal power. The needles protected his acupuncture points while channeling the potion's energy. As the balance of energy tipped, the needles ejected from his body, causing the potion to evaporate in an explosive mist. Emerging from the training room, Li Yunxiao sighed. Only 5 chakras opened. What a pity! Most warriors would have considered this an incredible feat, but for him, it was merely a step forward. He cleaned himself and joined Han and Chun, who expressed anger over Lan Fei's recent actions. Despite their concerns about retaliation, especially from Lan Xian, Lan Fei's powerful half-brother, who was a peak martial warrior on the verge of breaking through to martial master, Li Yunxiao remained confident. If Lan Xian doesn't come for me, I'll go to him, Li Yunxiao said with a smirk, determination flashing in his eyes. His ambitions were clear: to claim the 5-colored divine stone. In a secluded building within the academy, Lan Fei roared angrily at his uncle Wang Feng. "Uncle, I can't let this go. I must get back at him." Wang Feng's expression darkened as he snapped, "Shut up, you fool! You nearly caused a disaster. If Lan Xian wasn't in seclusion, your mother's years of hard work would have been ruined." Lan Fei froze, his arrogance momentarily replaced by fear. How could it be that serious? I just asked Brother Xian to teach that waste a lesson and help me vent my anger. His uncle sneered, his eyes glinting with disdain, and said that so-called waste from the Li family is insignificant. Your real enemy is Lan Xian. Losing the family's direct lineage token has put you in a dangerous position. If Lan Xian finds out, the family will reprimand you at best, but at worst, you'll lose your status as a direct descendant and be relegated to a collateral branch. Lan Fei's face turned pale. Panic replaced his earlier bravado. "Uncle, what should I do? You must help me." Wang Feng's expression softened slightly, though his voice remained firm. "Don't worry. You are my sister's son. I'll naturally help you. But as a teacher at the academy, I cannot act directly against students without justification. The consequences would be severe. Fortunately, the junior class's annual assessment is in 7 days. If that boy hasn't opened his chakra by then, I'll ensure he's expelled under the academy's rules. Once he's out, we can deal with him before he returns to the Li family. We'll retrieve the keepsake. And as for him, you can do whatever you want with him." Lan Fei clenched his fists, his nails digging into his palms. 7 days? I can't wait that long. Just thinking about what happened makes me want to skin him alive. His expression twisted with malice. "Uncle, I'll ruin his reputation during these 7 days. I have a plan, but I'll need your cooperation." Wang Feng raised an eyebrow. "Oh, what are you planning?" Lan Fei leaned closer, whispering into Wang Feng's ear. A sinister smile spread across the older man's face. "Interesting. If you succeed, you won't even need 7 days. I underestimated you, nephew. Let's proceed." Meanwhile, in his dormitory, Li Yunxiao was meditating, practicing the great evolution divine art. His spiritual awareness, far surpassing that of ordinary people, alerted him to the presence of 2 figures lurking outside his door. He frowned. Could they be thieves? He got up and opened the door, just in time to see an envelope fall to the ground. The letter bore the elegant inscription to Yunxiao and was scented with a faint fragrance. Tearing it open, he found a love letter asking him to come to Maple Grove. Li Yunxiao's lips curled into a knowing smile. He thought of the Academy's Maple Grove, a popular spot for romantic rendezvous. Despite recognizing the ploy, he decided to play along. His figure flickered as he left for the forest. Shortly after, 2 figures appeared outside his dormitory. One of them skillfully picked the lock and entered. A few minutes later, they re-emerged, carefully locking the door behind them. "Did you set everything up?" one whispered. "Yes," the other replied. "Let's see how this loser handles it." Master Fei's plan is flawless. The 2 left, snickering, unaware that Li Yunxiao had observed everything from a distance. Returning to his room, he soon discovered their setup, his bed stuffed with women's undergarments. He chuckled bitterly. "Well played, Lan Fei. If you want to play dirty, I'll join the game. Half an hour later, Li Yunxiao arrived at Maple Grove. Suddenly, a soft cry pierced the air. Help! Help me! A young woman, her clothing torn and her face etched with fear, stumbled out from the shadows. Her fair skin glowed under the moonlight, and her disheveled appearance elicited pity. Stop right there, a voice roared. A man in luxurious attire emerged, his face twisted with anger and lust. You should feel honored that I chose you, he said. The woman, spotting Li Yunxiao, ran toward him. Senior, please save me, she cried, her tear-streaked face full of desperation. Li Yunxiao's sword materialized in his hand, its tip aimed at the woman's throat. His cold voice cut through the night. Stop if you value your life. The woman froze, surprise flickering across her face. Senior, he's trying to harm me. Please, save me. Her tears sparkled in the moonlight, making her appear even more pitiful. She begged, I'll do anything you ask, just save me. But Li Yunxiao's expression remained indifferent. His eyes, cold and detached, betrayed no emotion. The man behind her sneered, Boy, leave now, or you'll regret it. This girl belongs to me. The noble grabbed the woman's shoulder, ripping away her veil and exposing more of her delicate skin. The noble pushed her to the ground. She struggled and cried out, Save me! Please, save me! Li Yunxiao opened his eyes slightly, a faint smile tugging at his lips. Don't worry, I'll save you very soon. Li Yunxiao's calm demeanor hinted at a deeper understanding of the situation, ready to turn the tables on those who sought to manipulate him. Meng Wu, trembling and distressed, struggled to rise from the ground. The noble sneered at Yunxiao and declared, You dare to interfere with me? Do you even know who I am? I'm Lu Yitian, son of Lu Siki, the commander of the Imperial Guard. Yunxiao's expression remained indifferent, a faint smirk playing on his lips. Oh, so you're Lu Yitian, he remarked casually, turning his attention back to Meng Wu. His voice softened, though a hint of irony lingered. I am not the one saving you, they are. Meng Wu blinked in confusion. They? She asked, her voice trembling. Before she could receive an answer, a group emerged from the shadows surrounding the trio. The leader of the group pointed an accusing finger at Lu Yitian and roared, Lu Yitian, you despicable beast! You've gone too far this time. You are nothing more than a shameless criminal. The moment Lu Yitian saw Teacher Fong, his bravado crumbled. His heart sank, and his legs began to tremble as he looked toward the figure standing among the crowd. Under the pale moonlight, the stern face of Teacher Fong, the infamous director of the teaching department, known as the God of Killing, glared at him with unrelenting intensity. Lu Yitian, you animal! Teacher Fong's voice boomed, and in the blink of an eye, he closed the distance between them. A resounding slap sent Lu Yitian sprawling to the ground. Han rallied the growing crowd, shouting, Let's not let this monster go unpunished. He assaulted a fellow student. Justice must be served. As the mob closed in on Lu Yitian, his screams of agony echoed through the night. Teacher Fong turned to Meng Wu, his expression softening slightly. Are you hurt? What's your name? And why were you with this scoundrels? He asked. Meng Wu stammered, her voice barely audible. My name is Meng Wu. Her words faltered and she looked down, overwhelmed by the situation. Before she could explain further, Yunxiao stepped forward, placing an arm protectively around her shoulders. Don't be afraid, he said reassuringly. With me here, no one will hurt you. Meng Wu tensed under his touch, her face flushing with embarrassment. Yunxiao's grip tightened slightly as he whispered soothing words into her ear, his tone playful. Despite her discomfort, she lacked the strength to resist. Teacher Fong, seemingly oblivious to Meng Wu's unease, nodded approvingly at Yunxiao. Good work, Yunxiao. You handled this situation well. I'll ensure that beast is dealt with properly. Go ahead, Teacher Fong. Meng Wu will be safe with me, Yunxiao replied smoothly. Meng Wu's eyes widened in silent protest, but her voice failed her because of Yunxiao's finger. By this time, the crowd surrounding Lu Yitian had grown significantly. Students vented their fury, berating and striking him in turn. Lu Yitian, battered and humiliated, pleaded for mercy, his voice drowned out by the mob's cries for justice. In the shadows of the forest, Lan Fei and his accomplices observed the scene. One of the lackeys hissed, "Boss, we should save Lu Yitian." Lan Fei scowled, his eyes narrowing with hatred. "Calm down," he snapped. "If you rush out now, you'll only make things worse. Lu Yitian is finished, but we'll have our chance. Everything is in place for the next phase." The lackeys exchanged nervous glances before nodding. "We've done as you instructed, boss. Yunxiao won't escape next time." Lan Fei's lips curled into a cruel smile. "Enjoy your victory while you can, Yunxiao. The real game is just beginning." As the night wore on, the crowd began to disperse, satisfied that Lu Yitian would face the consequences of his actions. Teacher Fong, now standing over Lu Yitian's battered form, issued a final declaration. Lu Yitian will be reported to the dean immediately. He will not be allowed to remain in this academy. The students cheered at the announcement, their voices echoing through the trees. "Don't be afraid. It's over now." Yunxiao reassured Meng Wu softly before passing her to Zhu Feifei, her dorm mate. As the group dispersed, a sudden commotion erupted nearby. The sound of gongs and drums echoed loudly, drawing everyone's attention. A crowd of students approached, their faces filled with anger. At the front was Lan Fei, his posture commanding. Teacher Fong frowned. "What is happening here?" he asked sharply. Lan Fei stepped forward, his voice indignant. "Teacher Fong, you're here. That's perfect. There's a thief in the academy, a pervert who's been stealing female students' underwear." Gasps and exclamations filled the air as students expressed their outrage. The female students, in particular, were livid. The princess stepped forward, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. "Teacher Fong, I've also been a victim. Please, bring this thief to justice." Lan Fei smirked inwardly and announced. The thief was seen fleeing toward Maple Grove. He relished the opportunity to implicate Yunxiao. Yunxiao, however, appeared unfazed. "Lan Fei, how are you so involved in this matter? What does it have to do with you?" he asked, his tone laced with suspicion. The question shifted the crowd's attention to Lan Fei, who faltered briefly. One of his lackeys, Meng Kuan, stepped in. "The boss is only trying to help. He's leading us to catch the thief because I was the one who saw the thief," he declared. Lan Fei, sensing the shift in the crowd's mood, shouted angrily, "Yunxiao, what are you implying? Are you trying to distract us because you're guilty?" Meng Kuan, emboldened, added, "That's right. The thief's figure looked just like you." Yunxiao chuckled softly. "Slander me, are we? What's your endgame, Lan Fei?" Lan Fei smirked triumphantly. "If you're innocent, then you won't mind letting us search your dormitory. Refusal will only prove your guilt." Yunxiao's gaze hardened. "And who are you to demand such a thing?" The princess intervened, her voice firm. "I believe in Yunxiao's innocence." "Meng Kuan, are you absolutely sure about what you saw?" Meng Kuan hesitated, clearly intimidated by the princess, but under Lan Fei's glare, he nodded. "I'm sure. It was him." Lan Fei pressed on. "Well, Yunxiao, what do you have to say now?" Yunxiao addressed Teacher Fong calmly. "Teacher Fong, I have no objections to a search, but if I'm proven innocent, I expect Lan Fei to explain himself." Teacher Fong nodded in agreement, and Lan Fei, feigning confidence, declared, "Fine. If you're innocent, I'll explain myself." With that, the group set off toward Yunxiao's dormitory. Whispers and speculation filled the air as the students marched through the campus, their anticipation building. Despite the tension, Yunxiao walked with unwavering confidence, a faint smile playing on his lips. The crowd finds Teacher Wang already standing at the dormitory gates. "I heard there was a perverted thief on the loose," Teacher Wang explained casually. Spotting another figure among the crowd, he added, "Oh, Teacher Fong, you're here too?" Teacher Fong, known for his stern and impartial nature, frowned as he assessed the situation. His years of experience hinted something was amiss. Meanwhile, Yunxiao smirked and remarked, "Why are you at my dormitory?" didn't Meng Kuan claim the thief ran towards Maple Grove? The veiled accusation in Yun Xiao's tone was unmistakable. Teacher Fong's expression darkened, and his voice turned stern as he addressed Teacher Wang. What's going on here? Teacher Wang, unbothered by the implications, retorted, I'm here to catch the thief, just like you. This criminal is brazen and depraved. Once caught, I suggest they be expelled immediately to protect the students. Teacher Fong's gaze grew colder. Catching thieves is important, but if anyone dares to manipulate the situation and falsely accuse someone, I won't tolerate it. Yun Xiao's voice cut through the tension, his tone calm, yet laced with irony. Since Teacher Wang values fairness so much, I'm relieved. Please go ahead and search my dormitory. He unlocked the door and gestured for the group to enter. Teacher Wang hesitated momentarily, noting Yun Xiao's composed demeanor. Doubt flickered in his mind, but the confident nod from Lan Fei seemed to reassure him. Search it thoroughly, Teacher Wang instructed. Everyone enters into the room. Yun Xiao followed, his posture relaxed. His gaze lingered on Lan Fei, whose expression betrayed a hint of unease. Minutes passed, and the search yielded nothing. Frustration etched across Lan Fei's face. Realizing the growing tension, Teacher Wang interjected. This bedroom isn't very large. It's clear that Yun Xiao is innocent. The thief must be someone else. Princess, visibly relieved, turned to Yun Xiao with a mixture of irritation and admiration. He had this all planned, she thought, angered by how much she had worried. Attempting to end the debacle, Teacher Wang announced, since the matter is settled, let's all return to our duties. Yun Xiao's voice rang out, stopping everyone in their tracks. Teacher Wang, didn't you just claim the thief as someone else? Are you not going to pursue them? Caught off guard, Teacher Wang replied tersely, without witnesses or evidence, it'll be difficult to identify the culprit. The school will handle it. Yun Xiao's smirk widened. No witnesses? Didn't Meng Kuan claim he saw it with his own eyes? Or is Meng Kuan's testimony unreliable? If that's the case, I must suspect that Lan Fei, his master, is the real mastermind. Lan Fei, already on edge, snapped, Don't slander me, Yun Xiao? Yun Xiao's tone turned icy. The evidence clears my name. Now, it's your turn to prove your innocence. Allow us to search your dormitory. Lan Fei bristled at the accusation but maintained his composure. Fine, he said, feigning righteousness. If you want to search, then search. But this isn't over, Yun Xiao. The group made their way to Lan Fei's dormitory, located in an exclusive area reserved for the wealthy. Lan Fei unlocked the door with a flourish and stepped aside. Search as much as you like, he said coldly. But if you damage anything, don't expect to afford the consequences. Han and Qin entered first, emerging moments later with a locked wooden box. Young Master Yun, this box can't be opened, Han reported. Lan Fei's expression darkened. That's my personal belongings. It requires my key to open. He produced a golden key, inserted it into the lock, and opened the box with a click. The moment the lid lifted, gasps filled the room. Inside were various stolen items, including pieces of girls' underwear. Teacher Wang's face turned ashen, realizing the situation was beyond salvaging. Lan Fei, however, was struck speechless. His shock quickly turned to denial as he shouted, This isn't mine. I've been framed. Yun Xiao's voice was calm but cutting. Framed? Didn't you just say this box was accessible only with your key? Lan Fei's retort died in his throat. Princess, furious and humiliated, shouted, You pervert! I'll make sure the dean expels you. The crowd erupted in anger, with chants of expel, expel, echoing through the dormitory halls. Qin rummaged through the box and uncovered another surprise. There's half a box of soap in here, he remarked. Han's derisive laugh followed. Rumor has it Lan Fei has a peculiar habit of dropping soap in the boys' bathhouse and making others pick it up. Disgust rippled through the crowd. Male students recoiled, some visibly nauseated. Lan Fei, overwhelmed, collapsed to the ground, trembling. Yun Xiao addressed the crowd with righteous indignation. The evidence speaks for itself. Lan Fei has wronged countless students. However, We must allow the academy to handle this fairly. Let the teachers decide his punishment. Teacher Fong, impressed by Yunxiao's composure, declared firmly, "I will report this to the dean immediately. Rest assured, justice will be served." Princess added vehemently, "If this pervert isn't expelled, we'll take this to my father. I refuse to coexist with him." The students cheered in agreement, their determination unwavering. Lan Fei, desperate, clung to Teacher Wang. "Uncle, help me!" Teacher Wang shook him off, his voice cold and dismissive. "You've brought this upon yourself." With that, he pushed through the crowd and left, unwilling to risk his reputation further. Lan Fei's cries were drowned out by the crowd's chants. Defeated and disgraced, he remained on the floor as the students dispersed, their demands for justice echoing in his ears. And that wraps up today's recap. For another such treat, subscribe to the channel so that I can bring more such content to you, and you don't miss the daily uploads. Do it! Subscribe, please subscribe, and don't forget to like, comment, and share the video. See you with another such treat.